Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and a brand new experiment where we're going to take a look at how the England squad would do in the Premier League. Now I've put them all into Liverpool's team. You can see them all here from Harry Kane all the way down to Ashley Young with Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Danny Rose in the middle as well. They're all in there. They've got a surprisingly high value actually, but England players do tend to fetch a bit more money than you would expect, it has to be said. So it's quite a strong team in the game, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to put in a very, very good show in the Premier League. Obviously, they've managed to make it all the way to the World Cup semi-final as of the time of recording this, and England are playing today, so do drop a like on the video to wish England luck in this game, and hopefully they can make it all the way to the World Cup final, and then I might have the motivation to do more parts of this experiment and see how they do past just one season. But if we go out, I'll probably just be really depressed for a few days. So hopefully we do manage to get through today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. There will be hopefully a couple more parts to this experiment and a brand new experiment a few days after that as well. So plenty of content coming your way, so do subscribe. But let's go forward 1 year in time and see how this England team have managed to do in the Premier League. You can see that they haven't really got any backup players whatsoever except for young players and a 24-year-old Danny Ward. Nick Pope is in the squad. If you're wondering why he wasn't on the main screen, it's just because the game has automatically put him down in the under-23s, even though he's 25. But yeah, let's go forward a year and see how they've got on. Well, we are now 1 year into the future, and as you can see, Liverpool actually started the season very well. They had a poor beginning to pre-season, losing to CSKA and to AC Milan, but they then managed to draw with Nottingham Forest before beating Roma 1-0, Danny Welbeck and Harry Kane getting a couple against Tranmere. And in the league opener, they actually beat Leicester 2-1, Raheem Sterling and Jesse Lingard with the goals there. If only they could get a couple more at the World Cup. And then against Hoffenheim, a difficult 2-2 draw away from home. Raheem Sterling back at Liverpool, getting a couple more goals there as well. And then drawing with Everton, Jamie Vardy sent off in the 75th minute, but Dele Alli did manage to get a goal there. And then they did manage to overcome Hoffenheim. Not an easy task, that. 75th minute equaliser from Danny Welbeck and a 78th minute winner from Marcus Rashford, sending them through to the group stage. They beat Burnley 2-0 and then drew with Stoke away before going on a bit of a nice run here. 3-0 over Feyenoord with 10 men for most of the game as well, with Maguire sent off. They then beat West Ham, managed to beat Bournemouth 3-2, Watford 1-0, and then lost 3-0 to Real Madrid. A test of their limitations there. Spurs, Harry Kane with the goal, beating Spurs at Wembley. They then managed to beat West Bromwich Albion and Napoli 3-0 away from home. 2-1 win over Brighton, and then a 3-1 win over Spurs again in the Carabao Cup before losing to United 2-1 at home. Martial and Sanchez with the goals there. Beat Napoli again, Bournemouth, Harry Kane getting all of the goals here, including a 3-0, 3 goals in the win over Swansea for his hat-trick there. A draw with Feyenoord, and then losing at home to Southampton. So not ideal there. 2-2 draw with Man City, good result there. Beat Crystal Palace, drew with Real Madrid, so they didn't lose at home this time. Better showing from them, but managed to beat Arsenal 2-0 away as well, with Trent Alexander-Arnold scoring. Lost to 1-0 to Huddersfield. Really inconsistent, their performances here. But they did manage to beat Newcastle and Stoke. Drew with Chelsea 1-1. They actually won the Carabao Cup. I nearly completely missed that. But Danny Welbeck with the goal there. Kurt Zouma was sent off late on, but Liverpool had already scored at that point. Danny Welbeck with the goal. But it then triggered a poor run in the league, including losing to Everton away from home. But a winner of Burnley. FA Cup kicked off, doing pretty well. Oh, hang on, that was the quarter-final. You will have to excuse me, I'm recording this first thing in the morning before going to work, so I'm not fully there at the moment. But that was the quarter-final, not the final. And then in the semi-final, a 1-0 win over Ipswich. 3-0 over Stoke, 2-0 over Ipswich, taking them to the actual final. They also threw in the FA Cup 4th round. Barcelona in the Champions League lost 1-0. Why was Dele Alli getting sent off in that game? 2 yellow cards, and Lionel Messi with the only goal. They're going to have to do the job at the Nou Camp. Out of the FA Cup as well, but managed to win the Carabao Cup final. They did actually win in the final this time. Delph and Ali with the goals there from central midfield, giving them the win. 0-0 with United. A tough run of games here. 3-1 over West Brom, but knocked out by Barcelona in the Champions League. So no glory in Europe, but their league campaign still continuing. Managed to beat Man City 3-1. Swansea as well drew with Palace. Going right down to the bottom here. 3-3 draw with Newcastle, with most of the goals in the 5 goals in the first 25 minutes. And then the 73rd minute equaliser from Jamie Vardy. But lost 3-0 on the final day. So if we have a look at where they managed to finish last season, they actually finished in 4th place. Chelsea finished a couple of places ahead of them, with Manchester United taking the title with 92 points. This game seems to love giving Manchester United the title, but they did manage to beat Man City and Spurs to the Champions League places, because Arsenal finished above them as well. So I would say that's a decent showing. I mean, 75 points is normally where you'd want to be for Champions League, but 70 was enough on this occasion, and people have won the title on about 75 points. So it's not a bad showing, but unfortunately United absolutely ran away with this league. But they have managed to secure Champions League football for another season, and they've managed to get a Carabao Cup title under their belt. Now, if we have a look at Liverpool's squad and how the players managed to get on last season, you can see Harry Kane still the standout player. He got a lot of goals last season, 21 in all competitions in 43 games. Not as many as he got for Spurs, but he got more assists and had a lot of player of the matches, so still decent all round. Dele Alli managed to do pretty well as well. He got 9 assists, 4 goals. Not quite hitting that 7 rating though. Eric Dyer has managed to jump up to 3rd place in the rankings. He's got 7 average rating across 38 games. Other key players here, Raheem Sterling did very well at the start of the season, and you can see here he didn't actually play all of his games this season, but he still got 12 goals in 35 in all competitions. Good average rating as well. Jesse Lingard also popped up with quite a few goals. He got 4 in 35, 5 in 42 overall. And then Marcus Rashford, another key striker. He managed to not actually play that much football, but he got 6 in about 31 appearances. So not the best return, but a lot of those were as a substitute. And if we just have a quick look at Jamie Vardy, the other key striker for them, on 100 grand a week, he managed to get 8 goals. So I think goals may well have been their problem. They were relying on Harry Kane, and he didn't quite get as many as you would have expected. So overall, not the greatest first season, although they do have some silverware, they do have the Champions League. It's not the end of the world. Jordan Pickford seemed to be their number 1 goalkeeper as well. 10 clean sheets in 22 games was pretty good. And Gareth Southgate is still in charge of the club. If we have a look at their transfers and just make sure they haven't done anything silly with the players, nobody's gone at the moment. And it looks like Ruben Loftus-Cheek going out on loan was the only change. They didn't actually sign anybody else either. So the club still exactly as it should have been. But what we're going to do now is go forward to the end of the World Cup and see if England can win it. Well, here is England's group in the World Cup. They were actually drawn in Group A and got to play the opening game with Russia, Costa Rica and Saudi Arabia in there as well. That is a dream group to get. But they still only got 7 points. They did beat Russia 3-1. Danny Ings with 1, 2 for Harry Kane as well over Russia. Smolov losing despite getting the goal. Costa Rica beat Saudi Arabia 2-1. And then England drew 0-0 with Costa Rica, as we did at the last World Cup as well. Saudi Arabia beating Russia, who were knocked out. Saudi Arabia with a win there. England did beat Saudi Arabia 2-1. Harry Kane now with 4 goals across his 3 group games. And Russia beat Costa Rica, but Costa Rica managed to go through with 4 points. But England winning the group there with 7 and getting the best possible draw. If we have a look at just how all the other groups panned out, so you can see if there's been any major shocks. Brazil and Croatia did go through. Portugal and Mexico, Portugal winning all 3 games there. France and Holland, who did actually qualify in this game. Chile and Honduras missing out. Spain and South Korea went through. Wales also qualified but didn't make it through. Uruguay and Germany actually made it out of their group this time. Argentina and Poland, and then Belgium and Colombia. The teams all going through. So some very good teams making it through. Now if we look at the second round here, you can see Croatia actually beat England 4-0. Not the best sign for today, I would say, losing 4-0. Eddie Howe, the manager, obviously Gareth Southgate isn't in there. If we just have a look at that screen there, you can see in the Croatia match, Eric Dyer scored an own goal. Then they had Jedvaj sent off. So we went 1-0 down, and then Jedvaj got sent off, and we played 10 men for the rest of the match. Kalinic, Perisic, and then Phil Jones with an own goal in 69 minutes. So not only did we lose 4-0, we lost 4-0 to 10 men. Football Manager, not particularly patriotic game, I have to say. But hopefully the boys will be able to create the reverse of that today in the semi-final of the World Cup. But that's a very disappointing way to go out. You see Brazil beat Costa Rica 1-0, Holland 2-1 over Portugal, France 1-0 over Mexico, Spain managed to knock out Germany, Uruguay over South Korea, Argentina 4-0 and Belgium 5-0 as well. Some big results in that second round. In the quarterfinal, France got a 3-0 again, Argentina beat Uruguay 3-1, Holland and Spain requiring extra time to go through. In the semis, France beat Argentina 9-1. What on earth is that about? 9-1 over Argentina, and Mbappe hat-trick for Lamar inside 21 minutes. He scored a 12-minute hat-trick. Sidibe, Tolisso, Lacazette got 2 late on, Coman got 1. 9-1 win over Argentina in the World Cup semi-finals, bettering that Brazil defeat by Germany. That is incredible. Spain 2-0 over Holland, and in the final it was Spain who won it 3-1. Very, very impressive performance from them. If we just go and have another look at England and see their national team squad, then we might be able to see what might have gone wrong. They've got pretty much all Liverpool players at the top end of that, but Joe Gomez and Nathaniel Klein were picked, Adam Lallana was picked, Danny Ings, who's now at Lyon, was picked for some reason, Wilshere is in there, Harry Winks, Damari Gray, Tom Heaton and Luke Shaw all in there. So quite a few players actually missing out that made it for the real England squad, but that's not too unsurprising because obviously Liverpool can't play all of these players week in, week out, and that means that they won't all be picked for England. So a bit of disappointment really. They went out in the second round. Maybe that's because we weakened the national side by putting them all into Liverpool. But as things stand, England losing 4-0 to a 10-man Croatia in the second round. At least we did better than that in real life. But we need to beat Croatia today. So do drop a like on the video if you think England are going to beat Croatia. Make sure to subscribe. And I could possibly do another part of this if you'd like to see how this team does going forward. Do let me know down in the comments if you would like to see another part of this experiment. But until next time, see ya.